Hey everyone, ever get that feeling? After spending hours in an awesome game world, like you want to create one yourself.
Oh, yeah, totally. That's the dream, right?
It is, and we're going to talk about how to make that happen.
Cool.
We're diving into some advice from a game dev, Reactorcore,
Love his stuff.
on going from, well, gamer to game creator.
I think what's interesting is Reactorcore points out there are like two paths
Oh, yeah.
you can take, depending on if you're like a total beginner or if you've already got some creative, experience under your belt.
It's like two different starting points.
Yeah, exactly. He calls them the complete beginner path
Makes sense.
and the mature visionary path.
Oh, I like that, like choosing your class in an RPG.
Uh-huh, yeah.
And speaking of starting points,
Right.
Reactorcore, he actually got his start through modding.
No way.
Yeah, he was super into this 2D action game called Soldat,
It's a Soldat, okay.
and the modding community was huge.
Modding, though, if you've got no experience, isn't that kind of intimidating?
That's the thing. He wasn't like a coding whiz or anything.
Oh, okay.
Soldat was designed in a way that made the game files like easy to understand.
So it was kind of inviting you to play around.
Exactly. His first mod, it was super simple.
What did he do?
Just change the rocket projectile to like a giant red rectangle.
Huh. Okay, I get that, but I guess he was still limited.
You mean by the original game?
Yeah, like how much could he actually change?
That's a great question, and he actually goes into that, like the pros and cons
A lot.
of both modding and, making a game completely from scratch.
Gotcha. Lay it on me.
So on the modding side,
Okay.
you have this existing framework, right?
So you don't have to build everything from zero.
Exactly. It's like you have this pre-built house.
So you're just like redecorating.
Yeah. Or like adding a room,
And you might get an audience right away too, right?
It's a popular game, yeah, for sure.
That makes sense for a beginner.
Right. Like you
Yeah.
can focus on being creative.
Instead of all the technical stuff.
Yeah, but there are some downsides too.
Like what?
Well, one of the big ones is that a lot of modding communities,
Yes.
they expect mods to be free.
Oh, so not great if you want to make money.
Not right away. No. Plus, you're limited by the original game's rules.
Right. You're playing in someone else's sandbox.
Exactly.
What about creating a game from scratch then?
So that's where you get total creative control.
Okay. I can see the appeal.
You're building your own world, your own rules, your own style, everything.
And you own it, right?
And you could potentially profit from it, yeah.
I bet that's appealing, especially if you already know what you want to make.
It is, but it's also a lot more daunting for a beginner.
In what way?
Well, it's just a much bigger undertaking.
Like how so?
You have to build every single system yourself.
Oh, wow.
Like the graphics, the sound, the gameplay, everything.
Sounds overwhelming.
It can be. Plus, getting noticed is another challenge entirely.
Yeah, with so many games out there.
Right. Tons
Yeah.
of competition.
So what does Reactorcore suggest for beginners? Like, where do you even start?
Well, he actually has some great advice.
Oh, good.
And it applies no matter which path you choose.
Cool.
He really emphasizes finding a game engine
Yeah, the engine, that's important.
that feels comfortable to you, fits your skills.
It doesn't have to be the, like, fanciest one.
No, not at all. It's about finding the right tool for the job.
Right. But what if you pick the wrong engine?
That's where experimentation comes in.
Okay.
And knowing what you're trying to build.
Like, what do you mean?
Well, if you're dreaming of this huge 3D world
Yeah.
with crazy realistic graphics,
Uh-huh.
you'll probably need a more powerful engine.
Then if you're making a, like, retro 2D platformer or something.
Exactly.
So it's like choosing the right Lego set.
I love that
So
analogy.
you wouldn't use the same one to build a spaceship.
And a medieval castle, right?
Exactly. So once you got the engine, then what?
Well, then, Reactorcore is a big fan of the MVP approach,
The what?
minimum viable product.
Oh, okay, but isn't that like making a bad game first?
No, that's not the point.
Okay, good.
It's about making a simplified version of your game.
I see.
Like, imagine you're making a platformer.
Yeah.
Your MVP might have just one level,
Okay.
like a basic jump mechanic,
Yeah.
and maybe one enemy type.
So just the core stuff.
Exactly. You get that core experience working really well.
And then you add more later.
All the bells and whistles, yeah.
So going back to the Lego analogy,
Love it.
it's like you build a small functional model of your castle first,
Mhm.
just to make sure like the basic structure works.
Yes.
And then you add the towers and all the details later.
It's way more manageable that way.
Makes sense. What else does Reactorcore talk about?
Well, he mentions that early game dev can be pretty lonely.
Oh, yeah. Especially if you're working alone.
Exactly. So he encourages finding support,
Like from
friends, family, online communities, mentors.
having people to bounce ideas off of.
It makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. Support is so important.
So true. And speaking of pushing forward,
Yeah.
Reactorcore also stresses having a playable build.
As early as possible, right?
Yes. Why do you think that's so important?
Well, I guess once people can actually play your game,
Yeah,
it's easier to get feedback, find
you
collaborators.
got it. Even potentially fund
It's
it.
like proof that you're serious.
And that you're making progress.
So it's not enough to just have a cool idea in your head.
Nope, you got to make it real, you know?
Bring it to life so others can experience.
Exactly. And that brings us to,
Before we move on,
yeah,
I want to go back to something we talked about earlier
okay.
with Reactorcore's own journey,
Yeah.
Into game dev.
His aha moment.
Yeah, when he swapped out that rocket.
That giant red rectangle.
That really stood out to me
It is a great example.
of how even a small change, even a silly one,
Right.
can really spark that creative fire.
It's true.
And what I find interesting is his passion for Soldat. That fueled his desire to mod it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. He wasn't just learning a new skill.
No, he wanted to make the game even better.
I think that's true for a lot of developers.
Yeah.
That initial drive.
Comes from a deep love for the game itself.
That genre, yeah.
Which makes me think, playing games, it can be this incredible gateway
Oh, yeah.
to becoming a creator.
Totally.
You start out as a consumer,
Right. Lost in someone else's world.
and then something clicks.
That aha moment.
Yeah, and you think, hey, I want to make something like this.
Or even better, something totally different.
Exactly.
So it's like stepping through the screen
Yes.
and becoming part of the game-making process.
I love that.
So what can we learn,
Right.
from Reactorcore's experience?
Well, first, I think it highlights the importance of passion,
Passion, yeah.
What game, what genre, what mechanic really gets you excited?
Yeah, let that be your guide.
Exactly.
Like, if you love puzzle games, maybe start by, exploring how those mechanics work.
Yeah, or if you're all about stories.
Oh, like in RPGs.
Right. Try crafting a simple narrative.
Oh, yeah, it's a good one.
Don't be afraid to start small, like Reactorcore did.
With that red rectangle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Small wins.
They build confidence.
Momentum. You don't have to create a masterpiece right away.
No, you don't. I remember when I first tried making a game,
Oh, yeah. What happened?
I spent weeks on this huge backstory,
Oh, wow.
this elaborate world, but I never actually coded anything.
You got stuck in the planning phase.
I did. I was so excited about the idea.
I get it. It's like they say perfect is the enemy of good, right?
Totally.
So the MVP,
The MVP is key.
it's all about that core gameplay loop.
That essential element that makes it fun.
Yeah, get something playable quickly so you can test it out.
Iterate. Exactly.
And speaking of testing,
Yes.
Reactorcore also emphasizes sharing your work
Oh, yeah. Getting feedback,
early on. Don't be afraid to show it off
even if it's rough.
to friends, family, online community.
I know. It can be scary.
It can be, but it's so valuable.
Fresh perspectives.
They can help you catch things you might have missed.
Totally areas for improvement, encouragement.
So true.
Okay, so we've got passion, starting small, feedback,
What about the technical stuff?
the technical side, yeah.
Reactorcore talks a lot about game engines.
He does. It can be a bit of a minefield for beginners.
A minefield.
There are just so many engines out there.
Right, with their own, quirks and strengths.
It's like walking into a giant toolbox
Okay.
and not knowing which wrench to use.
Yeah, which one's the right one for the job?
Exactly. And Reactorcore's advice, choose an engine that aligns with your skills,
With your project.
your comfort level.
Don't get caught up in the hype.
No, not the hype. I think a lot of beginners do that.
Yeah.
They see these amazing games made with these cutting-edge engines,
Oh,
and
yeah.
they think, I have to use that
But it might not be the best fit.
for their skill set, for the type of game they want to make. Yeah,
It's about finding the right tool for the job site.
you got it.
If you're just starting out, want to make a simple 2D game,
Uh-huh.
you don't need a crazy, powerful engine.
No, not at all.
And don't be afraid to experiment.
Experimentation is key.
Most engines have free trials, even free versions.
Oh, yeah, you can try them out.
See which one feels good to you.
That's great advice, like test driving a car.
Exactly. You want to make sure it handles well.
Has the features you need, yep.
Okay, so you've chosen your engine, then what?
MVP time.
Back to the MVP.
Start with a simplified version. Focus on those core mechanics.
Don't try to build everything at once.
No, I know that can be hard for some people.
It can. You have this grand vision.
You want to include every detail right away.
Right. But starting small, iterating, it's so much more effective.
It really is. It's like building a house.
Building a house.
You wouldn't try to build the whole thing at once.
Like all at the same time.
With the plumbing, the wiring, all of it.
No, no, of course not.
It's the same with game development.
Okay.
Build that core gameplay loop first,
Make sure it's solid.
fun, and then add layers of complexity.
As you go. I like that analogy.
Great.
So, anything else?
Well, Reactorcore also mentions game design principles.
Oh, interesting.
He doesn't go too deep in this article,
Okay.
but he emphasizes that it's not just about cool ideas.
Right, it's about crafting those ideas.
Into a cohesive experience.
Something enjoyable, yeah.
Exactly. I think that's where a lot of aspiring devs stumble.
They do.
They get so excited about the possibilities,
Yeah.
but they neglect the underlying structure.
The principles that make games engaging.
Exactly. It's like writing a novel.
Writing a novel. Okay.
You can have amazing characters, plot twists,
Yeah.
but if the pacing is off, the dialogue is clunky.
Yeah. The story won't work.
It won't hold together, and luckily there are tons of resources.
For game design.
Yeah, books, tutorials, even just analyzing your favorite games.
So you can see how they work.
Exactly. Speaking of learning from others,
Yes.
testing your game is crucial.
With actual players.
Real people, yeah. It's amazing what you can learn.
From watching someone else play your game.
It's true. They might get stuck somewhere you never even thought of.
Find a creative solution.
It can be humbling.
It can, but so valuable.
With the fresh perspectives.
They can help you polish the gameplay.
create a more enjoyable experience for everyone,
And I think a lot of developers,
especially beginners,
they're hesitant to show their work.
until it's perfect,
Right. But getting feedback early on,
even just from friends and family.
it can save you so much trouble later.
So true.
And remember, game development, it's a marathon.
Not a sprint.
There will be frustration,
Setbacks.
maybe even the urge to quit.
But if you stick with it, keep learning,
And most importantly,
have fun.
you'll be amazed at what you can accomplish.
Yeah, it's such a crucial point.
It is.
It's easy to get bogged down.
In the challenges,
The pressure to create something amazing. But at the end of the day,
it should be enjoyable.
game development should be fun.
If you're not having fun, it'll show.
So true. So find that passion.
Embrace the learning.
Experiment. Make mistakes.
Mistakes are the best teachers.
They are, now in part 3,
Oh, looking forward to it.
we'll explore Reactorcore's insights on. So we've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
From finding your passion,
To choosing the right engine,
embracing the MVP approach.
getting feedback, all that good stuff.
But there's one more thing
Mm.
from Reactorcore that I think is really worth highlighting.
Okay, what is it?
He talks about this shift, this evolution
Okay.
that happens when you go from being a gamer
Yeah.
to becoming a game creator.
Oh, interesting.
I remember he mentioned that feeling of awe and encouragement,
Yeah.
when you make even the smallest change.
To game and you see it work.
Like you've unlocked something.
It's totally a hidden layer of the experience.
Right.
He describes those early stages.
As being full of playful experiments.
I like that.
Where you're discovering what's possible.
Pushing your boundaries.
Exactly. And I think that playfulness is so crucial.
Especially when you're starting out.
Yeah, it's about tapping into that.
That childlike curiosity.
That joy of experimentation.
Like when we first started playing games.
Exactly. Rediscovering that sense of wonder.
It's so important.
And Reactorcore argues that this shift,
From consumer to creator.
it can be incredibly empowering.
Empowering. How so?
You're no longer just passively experiencing,
Someone else's creation.
you're actively shaping the digital world.
You're part of the magic.
Yeah, it's like you've stepped through the screen.
I love that imagery.
And there's this inherent satisfaction, right?
Oh, absolutely.
That comes from creating something.
Anything, really.
Whether it's a painting, music, a story,
Video game.
it's about bringing something new into the world.
Something that didn't exist before.
But with game development,
You're not just creating something static.
no, it's interactive.
People can engage with it.
You're building a world that others can explore.
Characters they can connect with.
It's a powerful form of storytelling.
Sharing your vision with the world.
And that's what makes it so compelling.
Potentially transformative, yeah.
It's like you're leaving a piece of yourself.
In the digital realm.
And Reactorcore's closing message,
What does he say?
he talks about how game development
If you're willing to put in the work.
can be a truly fulfilling career
He compares mastering a game engine.
to having godlike powers.
Okay, maybe a bit of an exaggeration.
Yeah.
But I get what he means.
It's that creative freedom.
The ability to build something truly unique.
You're the architect of your own digital universe.
And with technology constantly evolving,
VR, AR, AI.
the possibilities are endless.
It's a brave new world of game creation.
So exciting. So many uncharted territories.
New ways to tell stories, create experiences.
And I think that's the heart of his message.
He's inviting us to step into this world.
Embrace the challenge.
The possibilities. Let our imaginations run wild.
Exactly.
So, the big question is,
What is it?
what kind of game world are you dreaming of?
What stories do you want to tell?
What experiences do you want to share?
And maybe even more importantly,
What's one small step you can take today?
to start making that dream a reality.
Download a game engine.
Brainstorm ideas.
Sketch some concept art.
Connect with other devs online.
Every journey begins with a single step.
And who knows, maybe someday,
We'll be deep diving into your game,
exploring the world you've created.
the stories you've brought to life.
That's the dream.
So that's our deep dive for today.
Hope you enjoyed it.
We found Reactorcore's insights incredibly inspiring.
I know I did.
Remember, game development is a journey,
A process of exploration,
experimentation, and above all.
creativity,
So embrace the challenge. Have fun.
and keep those creative sparks flying.
Until next time, happy game making.